Today's espionage actions, unlike in the past, involve high usage of computers and computers network. So when we do our service, we must be aware of possible use of the local computer networks for espionage purposes. To put it, to put it in other words, what is the use in a service at a customer premises if we use the best equipment to search for spying devices in an office room and the espionage is actually in reality being made by an innocent device that looks innocent, that is linked to the Wi-Fi network and looks like a part of the local network, but in reality is making video or record the room conversation each time that there is a movement in the room or someone start to talk. So you can see this Wi-Fi camera as an example, or this Wi-Fi voice recorder, or even this miniature Wi-Fi camera. We actually have a lesson in this course that demonstrate how to connect a Wi-Fi spy camera to local Wi-Fi network. So this is a very good and real example. So some of the service providers in our profession does not check for this espionage possibility because they simply lack the know-how of some computer stuff that you need to know. So I decided to explain the procedures that need to be done in order to achieve this purpose and present it in a way that you do not have to be a super professional expert in computer science and still be able to easily perform the explained procedure and yet and get a straightforward conclusion, meaning that if the device is a spying device or a legitimate device. So, in my opinion, one of the most used means of espionage might be through the local network, local computer network. So, the professional guy that will not check the following procedure will not do his job in the best and correct way. So, after explaining the importance of this procedure, let's explain how to perform the procedure and then I will show the implementation in practice step by step. So, hopefully, all will be 100% clear. So, the procedure step by step. First, install a virtual manager in your laptop. Uh, I recommend VMware or VirtualBox. There are some others virtual manager solutions, but these are the most popular. And the installation of a virtual machine manager like VMware or VirtualBox is simple, and since it is not a purpose of our course, I will not show it here as it can be easily be followed through one of the many YouTube tutorial videos. So I don't want to spend time on that, and I want only explain that the installation of virtual machines enable us to create virtual computers which are totally isolated from the machine in which we install the virtual manager. For example, we Can install it in a Windows-based operating system or OS X, which is Apple's Mac solutions, or even Unix environment. It doesn't matter. We install a virtual manager in one of those machines, and we can use these managers to install inside the virtual manager virtual machines that will be basically an independent computer for any possible purpose. So this is the first step, and in the second step we install a Linux Kali as a virtual machine in the virtual manager that you installed in step 1. So for the same reason explained in 1, I will not show the Kali installation, as this is also not part of our course objective, and I don't want to spend time on that, and it can be easily done by, you can study it by watching one of the many YouTube tutorials. So I just want to explain that Linux Kali is an operating system, and we create a virtual computer inside the virtual manager, of course. And this virtual computer is managed by the operating system, which is Kali, Linux Kali in our case. So this was step 2. In step 3, we open Kali. Let's say the login and password, which is a default, is Kali as being shown here. And we open a terminal window as a root, meaning as administrator. So of course I will show it later, step by step. And we open this terminal window as an administrator, meaning that it's called root in Linux. Okay. So now, step 4, we connect a special antenna to the USB port. I put here the chipset which I'm using. This is a special antenna. It's an external USB antenna. And this is a special antenna that is being used by hackers as we need to capture packets that Wi-Fi network transmit in order to get information on the local networks that will enable us to make the necessary procedure and discover the devices that are connected to the network that we want to investigate. So we will be able to detect devices which have no permissions on these networks. For reference, I put the chipset of the antenna that I'm using. There are other chipsets, but this is one of the most recommended. So step number 5, enter the command. So here is the command. It's called ifconfig, and with this command we click enter, and we check that we have WLAN 0 as our wireless interface. So we need to check that WLAN 0 was created, as this signifies that the antenna is being recognized by the virtual machine. So number 6 is that in the command line of the terminal windows, enter the following commands, and I have here 4 commands that you need to click. Ifconfig WLAN 0 down, then click enter. Ermon ng check kill, click enter. iwconfig with WLAN 0 mod monitor, enter. And ifconfig WLAN 0 app, enter. And the purpose of this sequence of commands is to change the mode of the antenna from managed to monitor. The antenna is able to capture packets only when it is in monitor mode, and this mode is not what it has when you connect it to the USB port. So we change the antenna mode to monitor mode, and then we are ready to capture data packets from the local Wi-Fi networks and being able to start the analysis. So number 7 is the following command that will list the local Wi-Fi networks that are being detected. And the command is Airmon -ng space dash band space ABG space WLAN 0. So the Wi-Fi networks will appear with some information on each network that will enable us to detect the network that we want to analyze, and especially we will need the MAC address of the network router or access point, which will appear of course on the screen, and the channel number that the network is using for the Wi-Fi communication, so we can compose the next command that will list all the devices that are making part of the network which we want to investigate, which is the network of interest. So we need to stop the scan of the networks by Control C, which will end the scan of the local networks. And then step 8, which is the last step, is to put the following command. So airdump -ng, it's the same command in 7, but it's different because we have space dash BSSID space. BSSID is just the MAC address of the networks. XXYYABBCCDD is the MAC address of the network that we want to investigate. Space dash channel X. As I said before, we need to know the channel, the X is being of course exchanged by the channel number that we take from the list in step 7. Space dash write test is we create a file that make a report of all the packets that are being captured from all the networks. And WLAN 0 is our interface, wireless interface made by the connection of the special antenna. So as I said, we have inserted the MAC address of our network after the BSSID, and also put the channel number instead of the X. This is something that we need to be stressed here. And after hitting enter, the devices of the investigated network, the devices that are attached to the network that we investigate will start to appear. It takes some time. We will see it in the next lesson, but they will start to appear. So those MAC address will need to be investigated, and it is needed to check all the devices that are connected to the network and see if there is no MAC address in the list that cannot be associated with one of the known devices that we have. If we discover a suspicious MAC address, we need to implement all the methods and procedures that are being studied in this course, so the suspicious device will be discovered and verified. So this is basically the procedures, and now I will show you this sequence in practice, so it will hopefully be clearer.